1, 2, 3.
What you gonna do? What you gonna do? What you gonna do?
Bad cops, bad cops. Bad cops, bad cops. Bad cops, bad cops. Bad cops, bad cops.
Yes, so many cops are on the tick. What do you expect when they use tear gas and tanks? Whether in a car or on a horse, cops don't mind using excessive force.
Bad cops, bad cops.
What you gonna do?
Bad cops, bad cops.
What you gonna do?
Bad cops, bad cops.
What you gonna do?
Bad cops, bad cops.
This is filmed in front of a live studio audience.
So this is actually something we actually talked about. We actually had a segment about this during the summer when they were saying that we were living during Mad Max Escape from New York crime spree. People were just like walking around with chainsaws, murdering.
Oh yeah, bullets were just coming through my windows during the show.
Mad hysteria. So we're actually going to do a throwback to a video. That moment when I just felt like, you know, goons are just going to kick in your door and just like take you.
Waving the full.
Yeah, just take you somewhere.
Well, this afternoon,
so I'm going to give you this, guys. I'm going to talk about what really happened.
He's addressing
the news actually caught up to what we talked about.
He's leaving the department. He says he's
Why does she look cross-eyed?
His officers' jobs could be on the line as possible budget cuts are looming. News 4 Government Affairs reporter Melissa Russo spoke to the commissioner just hours ago. She joins us now. Melissa.
Natalie, the commissioner is concerned about any cuts that could impact patrol strength. But protesters and even some politicians are demanding that the police department cut $1 billion from its $6 billion budget. Commissioner Dermot Shea telling me defunding the NYPD.
You do know that that's $5 billion.
Protesters are trying to help.
It's to keep that office empty from black people.
Defund the police, I get beyond concerned.
Seems everywhere you turn these days.
He's like, because that takes money out of my pocket.
It keeps me from using those robot dogs.
It keeps me from buying another Bugatti.
He will.
Something substantial, yes.
But he refused to say by how much and exactly what will be cut.
No, not today.
The mayor said some dollar amount will be shifted to restoring youth programs. And while his own police commissioner agrees that's a good thing to do,
I think investing in kids is crime fighting.
Commissioner Dermot Shea also raised some
He doesn't want to do
that. There's much more fun to just fucking shoot him.
Man, disappointed. Wait, hold on. He's like, oh, I can't beat up these niggas.
News 4 this afternoon.
When you hear these terms, I think they're from people that really don't understand what's going on the ground.
Oh yeah, because they're laying on the ground. That's why.
Jumping on the defund the police bandwagon, and he says that won't lead to a good place.
They really don't have time for nuance. And within this, we have a crime picture that is not perfect. We had 40 incidents where people were shot this week. We haven't had a number that big in 5 years.
So you mean to say that crime is not as bad as you were trying to make it look like?
5 years is not as bad as 1979. That's the context.
Asking for more cops.
How about 1999?
That's nine. Yo,
they consistently ask me to see more cops, not less.
Talk about crime ridden.
For agreeing to shift funds from cops to communities and youth programs, but with the city facing a massive $9 billion budget hole, it's likely the NYPD would have had to cut its budget anyway.
Womp womp.
And even before they began, City Hall was already talking about restoring youth programs. Even some of the mayor's own employees and former employees in city government protested their boss today.
It's funny that he's asking if I'm worried about a risk of my career. I am way more worried about being stopped, harassed, and killed by the police.
Do you want to hear the be tougher against this defund the NYPD movement?
I got my hands full right now, so I'll let the mayor deal with it.
Oh shit.
Commissioner Shea says
he's like, I know everybody hates de Blasio. I'm just gonna keep stacking that on him.
Yeah, I don't know if that shit less in his head.
Tangled with ideology that he says represents that all police are bad. He told me, and these are his words, Lord help us if cooler heads do not prevail.
Well, that's the reason why people are asking for defund the police is because the cooler heads don't belong to police officers too often.
Because a lot of times the cooler heads get pushed aside while the uncool heads beat the shit out of people.
Really, the cooler heads get their heads shoved down, face down into the ground, and sat on by somebody in a blue uniform.
So So that was a report from last year that he scared us, saying that like if we cut $1 billion from $6 billion budget, that all hell's gonna break loose. Like Pinhead's gonna come from hell.
Let me ask you a question, yo. Let's say act.tv paid you $6 billion a year, and then they said next year we're only going to pay you $5 billion. How horrible would you feel?
I'd be devastated. I'd be like, what about the giant super yacht? I want 2 of them.
I can only be on one of them at once, but I've got enough money to develop technology to be in 2 places at once, so I can be on both boats at the same time.
That's why I need that other billion. You don't get it. So that's the fear mongering he had. Now it says overall crime decrease in 2020. Now the stats actually kept, the analysis actually caught up. That a moderate Democratic group, the Third Way, runs counter to the popular perceptions of rising crime nationwide. Even before this like Third Way stat, we had the local New York City stats that also showed that crime did not go up. It did go up. It wasn't like a nightmare place where like people was running around massacring people and smoking crack in the streets. There is smoking crack in the streets. That's
I was about to say,
that's like the Statue of Liberty you see when you ride your boat. So. Someone smoking crack.
Well, I mean, people I think are smoking more K2 than they're smoking crack these days.
K2.
I mean,
whatever it is, it's a monument for it in Washington Square Park. After crime rates in the U.S. surged in the second half of the 20th century, moderate Democrats persuaded the party to toughen up its platform in the 1990s to channel widespread voter concerns. This paragraph buries the prison industrial complex that Bill Clinton and a lot of people built up, and Hillary Clinton. This paragraph.
So do you mean when you talk about super predators that was a false paradigm?
I mean, this paragraph kind of buried. I guess the mine is where this had super predator and kept on going with this paragraph. This paragraph really
super duper predator.
Super black man predator coming in.
Black man. Oh, black man.
He's gonna kill. He's gonna take the community away from us. So now we hear the same thing. Now the Republicans are using the same thing. I mean, I think they both do all the time. That's the problem. The study shows the homicides went up last year, but it found the category to be an outlier. The paper explores white crime rates in 22 states and the District of Columbia, which submitted and published full data. They cover a broad mix from deep red states like Nebraska and Tennessee, the swing states like Wisconsin and Florida, to liberal like New York and Washington, D.C. So here's the stat. New York is here. Overall crime rates fell in most states between 2019 and 2020. So you just watched that report from like the commissioner. Meanwhile, it went down. 9 of the jurisdictions have Republican governors and 13 have Democratic governors. The mayor of Washington is also a Democrat. The report finds no difference in crime trends between Republican-led and Democrat-led states. Why is that? Because, as long as the system keeps going and people are fucked up, it doesn't matter if you're red, blue, purple. I mean, maybe we have blue, purple, and yellow might make a difference, but we only have 2 parties, and they both kind of like black people in prison a lot. So
yeah. That's something that doesn't change. That's not a variable.
So this is a report. No difference in crime trends between Republican-led and Democrat-led states. So you have Republicans saying that, there's Democrats letting this hellhole apocalypse in their cities. Like, it was like,
and they're just cherry picking certain bad looking situations and saying, this is happening, everywhere. And it's like, come on, relax. And then, and a lot of the footage you see of people like looting, because that was like the worst crime. Oh my God, there's looting! Oh, it's so horrible. Half of the looting was done by fucking officials in those towns. So I'm not trying to.
So this goes back to what we talked about in the last segment we did about New York City crime from the 1960s to the early 1990s. Yes, crime rates were rising across the board. That is for sure. There was. Fear City used to call New York City Fear City with like a skull with a cape like
that. It was Nixon and Reagan's fault.
Yeah.
Okay.
Nelson Rockefeller. So experts who study crime trends said some of the dirty findings, including an overall drop in crime, decrease in homicides, and the outlier aligns with their own research. So it's also multiple experts who believe or agree with this, with these findings, studying the stats over the past year or so. So there are theories why happened, including economic and emotional strain. People I don't know who keeps writing these articles. I guess whoever writes these articles must not have to worry about money, because most people are worried about money. That's just why. And you're more desperate down the line you're going to go desperate things. People are going to try every car door in the block and try to go into the car to get some change out of the change.
And the thing is, people want to make it as if like these people that are committing crimes of desperation are some horrible people. No, every species on planet Earth, when faced with scarcity, they start doing desperate stuff. Like that's what happens when you go without. You're going to start doing stuff that you would not have been doing otherwise if you were living in abundance.
And this is FBI crime data right here that shows you 2020. Look at this arrow. Look at it go down.
Yeah.
So.
And of course, they'll tell you that crime is going up, and then they'll look at that graph and say, "Oh, that's Trump. Trump did that. Trump did that for you." And it's like, yo, pick a side. Like either it's going up, and it's the Democrats' fault, or the graph says it's pointing down. Like you can't have it both ways.
So like we were saying, stoking a fiction of chaos and lawlessness throughout America that is not supported by data. But
they don't need data. They still think that Trump had the election stolen from him while he was outvoted by like 7 million votes.
I mean, they think he's president again. Some of them think he's gonna be president again. So that shows you the data is there, open out there, that people are gathering it, making reports in it, and showing that the whole year that they were scaring us at the Black Lives Matter made absolutely no sense. And we reported that early on, but now it's great to see all like the academics and all the schools finally like show that it's true, that it wasn't no fucking crazy crime rate last year. You just scared the black people.
Or are you just looking for ways to criminalize black people, because now you're starting to see white people struggling economically the same way that black people have traditionally. So you have to try to make sure that you elevate certain portions of society over other portions. So when you see all of these white people starting to like really struggle, especially when you start talking about the mass shootings that was happening when we had lockdowns, you still have people finding ways to go into stores and different places and massacre people. And that also is part of the uptick in violent crimes, particularly homicides. You had this crazy spat of mass shootings in areas that are predominantly, it would turn up red on a political map, right?
Yeah.
So let's just if you want to talk about, reasons to be scared, if you want to be scared of like, oh my God, this epidemic of falling crime in predominantly black inhabited areas, and let's talk about all of the mass shootings and people, one person taking 10 to 20 lives at a time. Let's talk about that. So like they said, most crimes are going down with the exceptions of the homicides. Well, one of the things I find interesting about that is that you would think that there would be more, you think there would be more theft, right? You would think there would be more theft going up, and they're not even showing that. So relax, yo, relax.
Yeah. And you guys check the Dash and Dash report. They'll show you the whole theft, mass looting that's happening story as well. So
even with a $45 billion, criminal industry, the crime is still going down.
So that's bad cops. That's a different kind of bad. It's like bad cops lying their ass off, top cop lying, and then seeing the numbers later. So that's you can follow Black Power Magic Hour on Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, on act.tv.
55,000 subscribers, bitch!
Yeah, that's crazy. And then Dr. Genius, he's live on talking shit on Discord, Twitch, and YouTube, and that's cops bad.